Hi, I'm Mr. Davis. I'm one of the band directors over at Clear Lake Intermediate, and I'm going to take you through the lyrical etude for the saxophones. So if you come over here, our first etude, we're in the key of F, so we have one flat, and that's going to be B flat. We're starting in 3/4, so we're only going to have 3 beats in our measure, and our quarter note gets the beat. To start off, we are going to have a pickup note. So this is actually going to start on beat 3. In measure 1, we have a quarter note tied over to an eighth note, so you need to make sure that you're thinking through and counting that 1 and 2, and then you'll move on the and of 2 on the F. So you'll have 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. We'll have that in measure 1 as well as over in measure 3 and measure 5. Something similar in measure 9, only it's on a different, it starts on beat 2 instead of beat 1. Lots of room for dynamic contrast, lots of crescendos, decrescendos, piano, mezzo forte, all of that. So really exaggerate some of those dynamics. Going through measure 2, make sure that check your tuning on D. It tends to be very sharp. So really think nice open oral cavity. Going on to measure 3, similar rhythm as in measure 1. Thinking 1 and 2, and then moving on the and of 2. Using lots and lots of vibrato through here. Really show what you can do on that. Same thing for in measure 5. In measure 6, we've got an accidental. We have an E flat. And then it comes back on the and of 3 as well. So make sure you're carrying your accidental all the way through the measure. I would suggest using your bis B flat for, in this instance, if you would prefer to use side and you can make it sound good, go for it. Going on, we have a decrescendo, and then we have we have a dotted 8th 16th rhythm on beat 3. So you're going to count 3E and a 1 going in here, but the 3E and is on the dotted 8th note. So you'll have 3E and a 1, 3 a 1. So count carefully through that. These should not sound the same as your 4 eighth notes at the beginning of the measure. We have this rhythm again over in measure 10 as well, but our tonguing is a little bit different. So really count through that. 1 and 2 and 3E and a 1. Lots of slow practice moving through there. Make sure your quarter note goes all the way to our rest in measure 9. So we have an 8th rest on beat 1 here. And then we come in on the and of 1. So make sure you're tapping your foot and getting that rest and 2. Rest and 2. That's going to be very important so that you don't come in too early. Here we have our quarter note tied to an 8th note again, just like we had back in measure 1 and measure 3 and measure 5. So you're going to count there 2 and 3 and 1. So that whole measure in measure 9, you'll have 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Measure 10, similar to measure 7, same rhythm, just again the tonguing is going to be a little different. I would mark which B flat fingering you're going to use as well. I just do a little circle because it looks like the bis key. Measure 11, quarter note tied over to our 8th note. Make sure you're counting that carefully as well. Going on, 12 and 13 is going to be the same rhythm as measure 9. So we have our 8th rest come in on the and of 1, and then quarter note on beat 2. And be careful, we have an accidental there with our F sharp. Measure 14, same rhythm from 7, and measure 10, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, dotted 8th note. 1 and 2 and 3, a 1. 15 again, quarter note tied to an eighth note, and then in measure 16 we have a grace note. So this grace note is going to be right before beat 1. So it's going to be very quick. Practice these 4/16 notes and the quarter note without that first so you can get the timing down. Just 1, E, and 2. Get the timing down first, 1, E, and a 2, and then add the grace note in. But a 1, E, and a 2. Da, 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 da. But obviously these will all be slurred. So again, lots of chances for dynamics, lots of vibrato opportunity. Count very, very carefully. Make sure you're using a metronome because the metronome is going to make sure that you keep all of this in rhythm and in time. So now I'm going to play for you. I'm going to have the metronome going at the marked tempo at quarter note equals 66. When you're practicing, lots and lots of metronome.